Talk and Rock Radio, where friends meet at the intersection of life, inspiration, and music. Here's your host, Rick Kern.
Welcome, everyone, to Talk and Rock Radio. You know, back in 2007, when I first started doing this musician thing, I did this with the intent of starting a blog site called musiciansofElPaso.com. And, well, it kind of grew into lots of things. One of the things being the Border Legends of El Paso music series that Rod Crosby and I did. And then, of course, lately, doing this podcast show, Talk and Rock Radio, one of my big goals was always to stay in touch with the musicians and the people that made things happen here in El Paso. And one of those guys is the iconic guitar player by the name of Mike Ciccarelli. Mike played in so many different bands and everything. We're going to talk about that in this episode. And what I did is I've got numerous conversations with him, and I'm kind of piecing the highlights, the bits and pieces of our conversations and everything. So here we go. Let's talk to Mike Ciccarelli.
Hello.
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Now I can. What happened?
I have no idea. The picture I sent you yesterday was Swift Rain about 1971.
Wow.
Yeah, 1971. That was that place was a going concern, man. This guy named Mario used to run it.
Uh-huh.
And God, there wasn't a time we played there it wasn't elbow to elbow.
You're talking about the Free Holy, right?
Yeah.
Like I told you, I never went in that place because that was all during the time we were on the road, and always heard about it, and I heard about the different groups that played there, but I've never heard Andre talk about you all playing there. So.
Oh my God, yeah, it was. We had some of the best times we ever played together was in that club.
How cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was amazing. I'm sure he would agree to that. You could send him that picture. That'd be a reminder for sure.
I will.
I'm not. Hasn't anybody ever sent you a picture of that place?
Never have.
I'll be darned. That was big time back then.
Especially inside. I've never seen what it looks like inside that place.
Yeah, well, they didn't do much. They didn't. It wasn't terrible, but it was. He tried to do a concert club kind of thing, and most of it was taken up with chairs, and and then the back portion was just open bar.
Right.
It was like a big lobby. That's what it was. It's like a big lobby, totally.
It's an interesting looking front of the building,
Oh, Jesus. I can't. He sunk money into the roof and the front and everything, but never bought a door for the place. I don't know how they close it. I don't know how they close it up at night, honest to God. I don't know how they did it.
Who are some of the other bands that played there?
Oh, shoot. Everybody did, I think, at that time. Everybody took a shot at that place. He called us back frequently. We were peaking out back then. And I mean, we were there frequently. Maybe you could get the info from Andre. He'd probably be more in tune to it than I would.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't back there that long. I just, played with them for a while. We did that album in Memphis, and then that was it.
Yeah.
But then I stayed in California, and they came back to El Paso.
Yeah, you did that album with Kenny Smith and Bill Taylor, right?
Yeah, correct.
On the Sumi label, yeah.
Open your heart, let the sun shine in. Open your heart, let the sun shine in. Open your heart, let the sun shine in. Open your heart, let the sun shine in.
that was just one quick flash kind of thing with those guys, but it was incredibly good. For such a short time we spent together, we were covering a lot of ground. But man, those are turbulent times.
You guys, when you were recording, well, of course, all the stuff you did was originals, but when you were playing at the Frijoles, were you doing covers or were you playing?
Yeah,
okay,
strictly covers.
Yeah.
And I mean, God, we were nailing it. I mean, it was just the acoustics in there were great, first of all. So it's like you were totally comfortable. It wasn't a huge bandstand by any means. Maybe about twice as big as Skylane's was.
Yeah.
It wasn't huge.
I remember Ty telling me that that the band, Stone Canyon, Rick Nelson and Stone Canyon played there, but I couldn't remember if he was playing with the band then or not. I don't think he was. I don't think he was playing with them yet.
Nah, he came on afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got into it afterwards.
Yeah.
Because Ty was back in El Paso during that time also.
Right.
He was back there for a while, but that was a funky time.
So the last group that you played with before you took off, I know we got the Maggots, we got the Four Frogs, we got the Apollos. What's the sequence of that? The Four Frogs, that would have been a real short-term group, right?
It wasn't even a group. It was
just recording.
That was a Colin Flanagan entirely production, and that was. I'm pretty sure that if there's any vocals involved, he did them. But I think he did all the guitar. He might have done guitar on one side, and I did guitar on the other. I'd have to listen to the songs to remember. But that was pretty much a Flanagan outing. One-shot deal, and you were telling me that somebody was playing as the Four Frogs, but I don't know who the hell it'd be.
Well, Bill Withers, the keyboard player, was telling me that you all did play some gigs somewhere, and it seemed like he mentioned Fort Bliss or something like that. But we were figuring out who all was there. Obviously Flanagan, Bert Peters, him, and you on bass, and I don't think there was anybody else that I recall that he named off for the Four Frogs, but I remember that group. I was so impressed with that surf sound. It was so clean and so good. It was so Dick Dale-ish. It was just really right there, man. I mean,
Flanagan had a knack for that.
Yeah.
He had a knack for being, like when Fuller do She's My Girl, it was like Four Seasons.
Yeah.
I think our love is through. Think our love is through. I think I'm losing you. Think I'm losing you. Now I know love is not so hard to please, but now when you hug me
You listen to that thing, and it's damn good. I mean, it is four seasons. When Flanagan did something, he did it good. I mean, it was just stone there, and he was very adept at that. He was a superb producer. Knew what he wanted, handpicked what people would play, what instruments, and then went ahead and did it. He ended up doing 3 or 4 45s, but I think one of the best ones he had was probably the Four Frogs thing.
What was his background, Mike? Where was he playing, or what was he doing before Four Frogs?
That's funny. He had one of the first rock groups in El Paso. He had a group called the Chancellors.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it was him, Max Lulz. Max was good then. He was real good. And they had a guy named Bill Goodman on bass. And then Bill Goodman leaves, and they got some guy named Mundo. Neither of them went on to be anything in EP, but they were just talented guys that were good. Flanagan didn't fool with, anybody. He liked his people good whenever he got a musician.
Right.
And I can't remember who the fourth was. I cannot remember who the fourth was, but it would be an inconsequential, rhythm guitar player. But he was extremely good back, I'm going to say right around 1960. And that was the heyday of the Chancellors. And the best source information for that stuff is Max Lulz.
Okay. Are you in contact with Max at all? Is he around?
I haven't heard from Max since 1971.
Okay. I'll try to track him down, because
he's great information. Great information.
That'd be good. I'm going to ask you, out of all your groups that you performed with, as far as, now we're not talking recording here, but we're talking about actual performing, and this is going to include the Maggots, Apollos, Four Frogs, anybody else you want to think of. Out of all of those groups, which group did you really enjoy the most as far as a performing group?
Oh, Jesus. It's kind of hard to say because it was all, it's apples and oranges and apples and oranges.
Exactly.
Different stuff. We, the irony of the situation with the Triangle is we were just starting to get good. We had gotten to the point where I got along with this guy named Mike Deasy, who owned the Galaxy Club next to the Whiskey A Go-Go.
Uh-huh.
And we right on the verge of we were in there pretty much any time we wanted. And that was, that's like 1968, 69 Hollywood. That's kind of hard to do. But we were so far along at that point with that tweaked trio sound that it was just, we were, and I sent you the poster of this thing. We're just starting to get good gigs.
Right.
Just starting to get good. But at that point, that was the most satisfying for me. All the other ones were just, if you happen to be in rock and roll early when it was happening, you were always going to be somewhat successful.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, anything up to 65, 66, maybe even 67, if you had a rock and roll band, you're going to be successful to some degree because you're the only game in town. Don't forget, they'd put banners in front of clubs, live band. That was the big, come on back then. Anybody that had a live band. And then before you know it, by the time 1979, 1980 rolled around, live bands were a dime a dozen.
Sure.
So the Maggots were pretty successful. We definitely did a Rolling Stones thing in El Paso for sure. But then by the time the Cream came along and the Hendrix thing, then, we were totally into that Triangle thing. And, we were starting to play several times a week. And then, as usual, things always go to pot.
Sure. Well, like they say, man, if you remember the 60s, you weren't there, right? So
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's quite accurate, isn't it?
well, I had to interject that, but
That's good. That's good.
regarding the bands that you were playing with then, though, because I think about the Triangle, and it was only you and Howard singing. So how much singing did Howard do? You know, I mean, from a recording standpoint, obviously you probably dubbed your voice, you know, several times on the backups and stuff like that. But as a performing group, I mean, I think back about the story that I heard either from you or Howard about how you guys declined to go back east and play this music festival that nobody knew anything about until after it was over with.
Including us, yeah.
Including you guys who were out in LA and wanting to, you know, get your big break, and you were doing the recording thing and trying to showcase what you were doing and all that. And I understand all that. But boy, what an opportunity that would have been to put you guys on the map if you had
Oh my God!
If you'd have played Woodstock, you know.
But you know, sometimes those are oft-told stories. You know, how many times has that happened that you know nobody really knows about?
Yeah.
That was an exceptional deal. It had to do with Mike Kerb. Mike Kerb was the one that, you know, he went on to be huge. Man, he was a huge producer. You know, if you Google that guy, some of the stuff that he has produced and backed is amazing. But we were one of his first. So, you know, he'd set up this thing with the attorney, but the deal was they wanted a full package deal. And me and Howard were thinking, hell no, man, we don't want all the eggs in one basket.
Right.
You know, we wanted to separate management. We didn't want any manipulation of the group whatsoever. We wanted autonomy because, you know, it was an excellent situation that we were only three people but self-contained.
Sure.
They'd hand Howard the key to these damn recording studios. You know, because they wanted that guy in the stable. You know, Howard was superb. There's no doubt about it. So it was an incredible package deal for three people. Plus, we were, you know, totally on top of an enormous sound for power trios. That's what was happening back then. Don't forget, like Blue Cheer and all, you know, Summertime Blues and all that stuff. Those were just, you know, high watt power trio type things.
Right.
Music, 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 every night and day. Turn on your radio and float yourself away, grooving on the sounds that are happening today. Sitting in your car, walking down the street, blasting your mind with the ever-present beat.
we got, we were cocky, and we didn't really listen or read between the lines as far as, what do you mean go back east, for a 3-day thing, et cetera, et cetera. just nixed it right there in the office. All we had to do was sign the paperwork. It's in the office.
Yeah, so just let Santana, and Jimi Hendrix go do it. What the hell,
And that's we didn't know that, though. See,
I
they
know.
didn't. This was early on. I'm thinking what Woodstock was August, right?
Yeah.
This would have been like May, somewhere around April, May, right in that area. So nobody knew what the roster was. And nobody dropped in. They didn't say, well, Crosby, Stills, Nash are going to be there, et cetera, et cetera. You guys need to do this. Nobody said that. They just said, there's a festival back east. We think it's going to be big. Do you want to go? Yeah, that kind of deal. And that was the enticement.
Yeah.
And we said no.
And the rest is history.
It is. And even if we had played for 20 minutes at 3 o'clock in the morning, it would have been a career booster.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
what a story you could
history.
have told your grandkids, Wow.
Oh, Jesus. Who knows what would have happened? I mean, my God. It's amazing to survive that period, The goddamn lifestyle was really dangerous.
Yeah.
With regards to drugs and everything else. So there, who knows? It might have been a dead end.
Well, you talk about the package, and you're right, man. What a package that was. I mean, you had 3 very talented musicians that were very capable of writing, and a guy that knows how to work the board. I mean.
Correct.
Oh man.
Correct.
What a.
It was a package. How many times are you going to get that with 3 people?
Yeah.
And just incredible.
Yeah.
At least we got one album out.
Well, you did, and it's a good one. Yeah.
Some of the stuff though still stayed in the studio, and who knows where the masters went. And Howard and I did some stuff later on with a drummer. I want to say his name was Willie Ornelas.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly what his name was, but it's when Howard had a studio up in Hollywood Hills in a house with him and Carol Carmichael. And we did a bunch of recordings up there, and my God, they were incredible. I mean, they were really, really good. And Howard had a bunch of stuff ripped off, all his gold records and shit like that.
I know.
I'm sure that stuff was popped, somewhere along the way. But boy, some of the recordings were very, very good.
You did some recording also though with Quirico, didn't you?
Oh, tons. Yeah.
How did you like his style?
Superb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dwayne was a machine. Yeah. I got to give him a lot of credit for I Fought the Law.
Sure.
Not a lot of people understand that. Back then, the lead guitar player, was in a world of his own. But the whole thing, your engine is that damn drummer and the bass player. That's it.
No doubt.
That's it. If you don't have those guys, man, you got no anchor.
Yeah.
You got 0 anchor unless you got a drummer, and that's at the top. Drummer's at the top, and then a bass player. And I did a bunch of stuff with Dwayne and Randall Fuller. It was some of it you can Google up. It's recordings that were made for Delphi.
Oh, okay.
There's like 4 or 5 songs, I think, and like if you Google up like Randy Fuller or I can't think of what else, they're out there, and some of them are pretty damn good. They're not bad, but Dwayne was superb. He was the first drummer we had with the trio. It was me and Howard and Dwayne, and god damn, I mean that got us gigs.
Yeah,
And I'm going to have to say that in some cases the reason we got the gigs because of Dwayne. Dwayne was like it was like just a few months after the Fuller incident, and he was hot as a match.
Yeah,
he was incredibly good. And it's like to snag that guy was something. So, God, we used him as much as we possibly could. Did a lot of gigs.
There's a couple of other guys that that come to mind too that I have a lot of respect for, and that's Billy Webb and Larry Thompson.
Oh yeah.
And of course, those guys were part of the early Fuller experience before it became the Fuller Four. It was called the Fanatics, and boy, those guys were good. And I think one of the times that I was talking with Ty, he even said that was probably the best combination of Bobby Fuller with Bobby Randall and Billy and Larry when they played Bassett on top of the Buck Rogers little building there. He said that was, in his mind, the best chemistry of that group.
Well, to each his own.
Sure.
The last person you want to ask is a musician. That's probably the worst.
Good point.
Yeah, that's the worst. To me, Fuller was always best with either Dalton or Dwayne.
Yeah.
Dalton is a rockabilly drummer. Dwayne is more towards contemporary, solid 4/4.
Right.
But Jim Reese, always. There's nobody subbed for Jim Reese. Jim Reese fit Bobby like a glove.
Out of every lead guitar player that I worked with, Jim Reese will always be number one in my book.
Jim Reese was Eric Clapton for El Paso, Texas.
He really was. You know, and I don't know if you experienced this with him. I don't know how it was before, but it was close enough to when he joined my band in 69. It was, he was like an elephant, man. He would hear it and remember it. And I mean, it was just like a photographic memory of his ears. He would, when we were working on Venus or any song, I don't care what it was, we'd hear it for the first time, and he had it. No problem.
Yeah.
He'd just jump right in there and play it. And I mean, he knew how to get around. On that thing.
His musical talent is literally unchallenged. That's him playing piano on Thunder.
Yeah.
But his really well-rounded musical abilities were kind of incredible. And the best person for Fuller ever was Jim Reese, period. He knew where that sound was supposed to be and did it. It was, it's like Buddy Holly and the Crickets, man. Reese would have been a cricket for sure. It's just something that was meant to be.
Yeah, for sure.
I always loved Reese. Man. That guy was fabulous.
Oh, he was a great guy. I miss him a lot, man. We had some fun times together. I mean,
he was a character.
Oh, yeah. One thing I remember
driving around El Paso in an old Cadillac that, dog tracked and tilted to the right.
Yeah.
He was your standard rockabilly.
Yeah,
you would have got along with Brian Setzer for sure.
Oh yeah, his. You remember him having that cigarette sitting right there up by his, at the top of his neck of his guitar. Man, he'd be smoking a cigarette and he would stick it right in there, with it lit, and he'd keep on playing. Yeah,
never had a burn mark on his guitar. He knew exactly when to reach for it.
I know. Oh, I remember that so well. Golly.
That's Jim Reese, master of timing in many ways. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he knew how to get the tones out of that Fender amp too, boy. I tell you what.
Didn't he? Yeah, he was a master guitarist.
Yeah,
for sure.
He made that Fender Twin, just sing songs all by itself. It was great. Yeah.
At least you got the opportunity to play with him and appreciate the guy.
For 3 years, man. He played with me for 3 years, and it was one of the highlights. I was telling somebody the other day, Mike, that I am the last of our group of the original Basic Sound that played at the Knights Club. Gail Hageman died, Joe Alvarez died, and Jim Reese died, and now we just lost in the last couple of weeks Dick Greco, our keyboard player. So I am the last of the original four, And
Last one.
Yeah, God, this is just it's hard to take, my friend.
Yeah, it is. It is.
There's just so many that have gone before us, and
Well, and a lot more to go for sure. I mean, everybody's at that turning point. Once you come out of your late 60s, man, it's a different ballgame entirely.
Well, I know, my
Well,
friend. Let's talk again soon, and
Yeah.
plan on doing a show. Okay.
Deal.
Okay, buddy. Stay
All right.
stay safe.
Take care, Rick.
All right. Bye-bye, man. Well, we hope you enjoyed our show today, going down memory row with Mike Ciccarelli. He's certainly one of El Paso's iconic players, and has been a great friend for many years. Before I sign off today, I want to acknowledge several people that really support my show. The weekly show of the El Paso History Radio Show on 690 AM with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk comes on every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. We certainly appreciate all the kind words and everything they say about our show. Also, Barbara Given Bainey, who does a live stream of that show every Saturday morning on Remembering El Paso When, and also KINT98.com. I really appreciate those guys. They air our show every Thursday night at 9 o'clock on their show. So thanks for joining us today. We'll see you real soon for some other exciting Talk and Rock radio shows coming up. Thank you, and we'll see you around. Bye-bye.